He doesn't want us sharing our expert knowledge on with what we've learned.
Well, the funny thing is, like, when I was working in a school, I had to deal with teachers who believed that games were just like the problem child of children.
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, a game like Manhunt doesn't really have much in the way of educational value. But there's a lot of things you can learn. Like, take this game for example. You're learning what metaphors are.
Yeah. You're also learning about, I guess, in a way, kind of social skills.
To a degree, yes. Like, some of the things you can do in this, there's one thing where you can take on the Big Burger Challenge, where you just have to eat a big burger. And if you succeed, you get, I think it's a courage boost. If you fail, you get a guts boost. And like, the idea is that if you study, you get more intelligence. If you if you watch like a romantic movie, you learn like charm skills. If you like make thief tools, which you can do in this, you improve your proficiency. So there are a lot of elements to this that basically say, hey, you need to commit yourself to things so you can grow your skills. And it's the same with the social standings in this. Like, to grow the social circles in this, you have to spend time with them and do the whole gift giving thing. As you grow that, you get new abilities, and eventually a stronger persona for the person in question. But to grow that, you need to spend time with them and you have to get to know them.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much study you can do if you go out and do the practical. So like, you can only romance so much or learn how to be romantic so much before you actually have to put it into practice.
Well, there's the other element to it as well, is that like, the more you study, the less time you spend on like the physical stuff or like going out with your friends and things like that. So it's a time management thing. You can focus yourself on like your personal growth, but you won't grow your friendships. Whereas you could grow your friendships, but you'll lack on your personal growth a bit. So
yeah,
it's the high school balancing act kind of thing.
Nationals are coming up soon, so I keep thinking.
I'm guessing this is the depressed girl who is going to try and commit suicide.
I was about to say, Shiho, shame you're going to jump off a building soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, Shiho is the one who's on the volleyball team, but the only reason she's on the volleyball team is because Takamaki is basically Kamoshida's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy here is Shiho's brother, I believe.
Mr. Kamoshida told me to get you.
Huh? What does he want?
He didn't say.
Well, granted, Shiho may have a character portrait in this. As far as I know, she doesn't actually have much of a presence in the game.
Mm.
I think they gave her a portrait for what happens later.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the social circles you can form. And whilst he isn't a party member, he does have a purpose in the course of the game. You sort of have this kind of like Batman-esque kind of thing going on. Like the Phantom Thieves. Oh, jump cut.
Yeah.
Phantom Thieves is like their identities are secret and is very much vigilante.
Can I talk to you for a sec?
And there's also the element in this that something that I've brought up with a couple of people is it draws upon the dangers of vigilantism as well, because when you're messing around in the palace, one of the elements is that you steal the treasure in the centre, and that causes a change of heart in the person. But when you do that, there's a risk that you can cause complete mental shutdown, which basically means they die.
You're all buddy-buddy with Kamoshida after all.
This has nothing to do
And
with
so
you,
the
Kabuto.
things that they're doing to try and get these evil people to confess their sins comes with the risk of killing them.
What's that supposed to mean?
Does that happen in the game?
Yes and no. Like, I don't want to reveal too much of that because that's a major plot spoiler.
Okay.
The
That's
idea
fair.
is that they're informed from the start that there's a chance they could end up killing, like, the person they're working on, but they still do it anyway. I mean, yeah, the people in question are complete scumbags, but does that give you the moral right to kill them?
I had no luck on my end. What about you?
No, I mean, like, the whole point is that you are, you're better than them. Otherwise, there's no point in being a vigilante. You're kind of just, you know, being just as bad as they are,
But that's
employing the same
yeah.
tactics.
But that's the element of vigilante justice, is taking the law into your own hands.
Yeah.
Because it was the whole Batman thing, is that he was a vigilante, but he never actually
Hey, got a second?
took the law into his own hands. He just stopped them and let the cops deal with them.
Come on.
Yeah.
I just want to chat.
Like, it's that midway vigilantism, because
Yeah.
vigilantes tend to, like, to be a vigilante, you see it through all the way to the end. So,
What are you talking all polite for?
if you're not doing that, you just kind of,
Don spiked you today.
I don't know, what, it's like a semi-vigilantism?
Well, I think the idea is that it depends how far people go with vigilante, because a vigilante takes the law into their own hands, which generally means they end up breaking the law in the process. They do things that is outside the scope of the law.
What's going on here?
Like,
Yeah.
a classic example is, you've ever heard those paedophile vigilantes?
Doing well today.
What? Quitting then?
What do they do?
Well, basically, they go onto chat rooms pretending to be like a child to lure paedophiles out.
He ain't feeling
Ah, yes. Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah. They get heavily criticised by the police because what they're doing is technically
Trouble and you'll be gone from
not
this school for
legal.
sure.
bastard.
I mean, it does get the job done, though.
Well,
Principal tell you to keep in line.
most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been some cases where it has gone too far, and whilst I
Just don't get in the way.
have very strong views on that kind of thing,
Mm.
like, I don't think it's down to me to decide whether they should die or not.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
dying,
that's
definitely
being-
not. Like, getting evidence to turn them over to the police, yeah, of course, sure.
The
But,
trouble with the legal
um,
system is the nature of how that evidence is obtained can mean that it's not admissible in court, because evidence has to be
Yeah.
acquired legally for it to be
At this-
admissible in court.
Yeah. At the same time, it also has to be obtained in a way that it doesn't seem like it was forced.
Yes.
Like
Everybody knows.
there was it's like if you have a
Keep quiet about
a thief who you then like you put in jail, they come out like 5 years down the line, and if you're a cop and you encourage that person to steal and like take up those that kind of mentality again, like of course they would obviously like try to steal something or like join you in stealing, because getting back into real life after prison is difficult, and at the same time it's old habits. So like reforming works if it's constant encouragement.
Yes. Well, one of the things
And-
that
Yeah.
I've heard about and seen, and I actually love this, is that former criminals taking their talents and applying it to help the police. So, like
Yeah.
thieves or hackers, they're giving advice to the police on the sort of methods that are used so that they can improve their own methods.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily that these people are terrible people. Like,
No, not
a lot of criminals are criminals because of necessity.
Like, I mean, thievery and things like that. Like, sometimes Like, I mean, a classic example is someone who's starving and they steal bread. It's like, yeah, they're a thief, but they're not stealing through greed, they're stealing through necessity.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're stealing because they're hungry. They're trying to feed
that
themselves.
crime is okay, but sometimes you have to take in the understanding of the circumstances leading up to it.
Yeah, it's more justified than, say, I don't know, the government stealing money from people who need it most. Like, you know, they take money out of education or healthcare and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much just stealing out of the pockets of people. But yet there's no repercussions for that.
Come on, dude. You can't go after Kamoshida.
Well, I mean, there was like the expenses scandals we've had over here, where I mean, there was the classic one of someone who was using like several thousand pounds of taxpayers' money for a duck pond.
What?
I'm not even joking. Well, I don't think it was a duck pond, but it was like an ornament thing they had for one of their residences.
We had someone here who used to spend taxpayers' dollars, even though she was already quite wealthy, on private jets to get to Parliament from her house, which was only 20 minutes away. Like private helicopters, sorry.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. It's kind of the same kind. I mean, different context, but the same kind of thing. Basically, the expenses situation we have over here is that MPs are allowed to put forward certain expenditures as like expenses for the jobs that they do, which is fair enough. I mean, if they're travelling around the country for political reasons, then yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, that happens in many places. What happened is people were putting in claims for all kinds of things and claiming it was expenses.
Yeah.
And eventually it turned into this massive scandal where so many MPs were putting things in for like their second home, like furniture for their second home. And it's like, you don't need that for your political job. You're just abusing the system at this point.
Exactly. But to get back to the point that we were originally making, there was, you know, there's a difference between criminals who steal because they're, you know, they've got nothing else that they can do, and criminals who are evil. You know, that those two things aren't one and the same. They're both different people.
Yeah.
Different types of people.
Well, it's taking reasoning into the equation. I mean, again, if you steal like a loaf of bread because you're dying of starvation, it's feasible to say that you have no choice in the situation. And let's be honest, if we're in a situation where our lives are at risk, we will break every law imaginable to survive. Like, I mean, it's like when people turn to cannibalism to survive. Like, it's going against society morals, but when it comes to survival, that's what it boils down to. Like, I make the classic case of they say like some tigers are endangered species. Like, yeah, but if one's charging at me and is going to kill me, I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah, if you have a gun.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I don't have a gun, I'm probably going to die.
You know, you're going to need level 3 proficiency in weapons in order.
Yes, System Shock 2.
Is it working? Is it a working gun? If not, you're going to need to repair it. Unfortunately, you need level 3 for that in maintenance.
Yes, for those of you wondering what that's about, one of the things I've been working on is footage for System Shock 2, which will probably be a behind the scenes at some point, because I've got about 2 hours of that.
The reasoning behind the ranking system, from what I know, in System Shock 2 is about as fragile as a Fabergé egg. You know, it is.
That has turned into a meme.
I was trying to make it subtle, but then you laughed your ass off just then. But okay, sure.
To be fair, I created that and it's just exploded. I still refuse to use the guy's name to protect the innocent, but
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the guy because even his Discord server has been overrun with the Fabergé thing.
It has to do with what this guy was
Poor bloke.
earlier. You'll need to
And
Oh.
keeps bringing it up in the team server.
It's exploded like dynamite in a Fabergé. just stick it in wherever we can. Man, this game is as well crafted as a Fabergé egg. You know, just keep describing things as a Fabergé egg.
That's going to end up like being on an official video at some point.
Exactly. Top 20 Fabergé eggs in video.
That was a fun. You know that
You sure pick up things fast.
I'm not gonna say too much about it, but you know that that voice acting thing that one of the team members was talking about.
Erasing a palace essentially
Yes.
Yeah, one
I
of them.
think,
I
yes.
still need to get in touch with him to redo a couple of them since the audio broke on it. But the last bit of audio I did, which ends with "Goodbye, sir." We did an outtake of it where I said "Goodbye, Fabergé egg."
and since the palace will no longer exist, what we did there as well.
Top 10 Fabergé egg line delivery in
There won't even be
video. I don't know, in our videos.
That's going to turn into one. It's just going to be like an April Fool's joke.
Yeah,
10
we'll do that
eggs.
next year. We'll do that on the Tats channel.
Oh,
we'll
God,
just
have
be
we
like,
got the Dark
still
Souls
Fabergé
Easter eggs. Couldn't that be Dark
Yeah.
Souls Fabergé eggs?
I'll tell you more once you agree to go ahead with this. It's my most valuable secret plan after all. If you want to help me out, I'll gladly teach you. What's your
okay, well, if we live that long, if we're not killed by
Said person.
whoever it is, yeah, whoever that person happens to be.
I'm more liable to be the one to die since I'm not a boss.
Okay, but we've all said it now, and we keep saying it, and we're not gonna stop.
be erased as well, but desires are what we all need in order to survive.
The funny thing is, I know Azul watches these. Watches these back, so I know he's gonna watch this, and he's just gonna be laughing his tits off.
All of those yearnings
I'm knowing that he's gonna be watching all of this, and he's gonna be like, oh, I'm glad they didn't say it. Then all of a sudden, the Fabergé egg thing is gonna just pop up, and he's gonna do a double take, and then he's gonna be like, what? No, come on.
I'm sort of tempted to just put a caption under every time we say Fabergé egg, and just like blow up the screen with it.
Yeah, so you have to misspell Fabergé every single time. Misspell it every time, just so like
I come all this
it's like a double joke in that it'll either A, annoy Azul, or B, he won't know how it's actually spelled.
I have to keep looking it up to spell it because it's a Russian thing,
Hmm.
and they have really weird spellings.
I'll come back later. Make
Now
sure
let me see if I can find out how Fabergé is spelled.
For those of you who don't know, like I'm sure you probably do if you've watched behind the scenes, but there was a moment when we was all in a group chat and the person in question was playing, I think it was Thief Simulator, and one of the things they had to steal was a Fabergé egg, and I just sort of latched onto this and just like put it into everything, like Fabergé egg bumpers, Fabergé egg tyres, and just like hatching Fabergé eggs, and then it just turned into this really strange meme that I think Azul just kind of latched onto and just fell in love with.
I've found Fabergé. I know how to spell it now.
It's got a really weird spelling. It's not what you would think it is.
National diet is legislated. The cap
It's actually not too complicated. Like two of the letters are actually
provides checks
swapped around.
which ensures no one
I'll have to. I think we should turn off the joking for the moment because this is a really serious scene coming up.
one option. You'd be better off just listening.
I might not be able to stop myself from
Well,
from doing that now that
I
you've said it.
didn't realise.
I just hear a
I didn't realise at what point we was at. Oh yeah, there's a cat in my desk.
Oh,
Yeah, that's Morgana in his like real life form.
We're in the middle of an important lecture.
Oh yeah, this isn't the scene yet. I thought this was it.
so nobody's killing themselves in this thing?
If you only knew
Not
I'm
quite,
in this
but
too.
looking at the timer, we're getting to that. Oh, here we go.
What's that?
Standing male student.
Jump.
Wow,
This is a classroom.
that's who he is in the
Jump
credits.
cut.
That wasn't a
Standing
jump cut.
male student. Gawking female student.
Yeah, this wasn't actually a jump cut. This is exactly how it happens.
Hey, stay in your
I was a little unsure about putting this scene into the official video because of what it depicts, but I felt it was
Yeah.
necessary for showing just how vile this person is.
Yeah, just to the lengths he will make people go to. Which is perfectly fair. I mean, even if it doesn't make it into the final cut.
I mean, to be fair, you don't actually see her hit the floor. It's all just like implied.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. My head just made an inappropriate thought when you said hit the floor.
Oh dear.
There's a dance song where the chorus is let the bodies hit the floor.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean, because I think that entered my head as well.
Why did you have to say that? I blame you. I blame you so much for that.
It's not my fault.
I am blaming you! Just like Azul will blame you for Fabergé egg.
Oh, I always
I will
get blamed
blame
for
you
that,
for this.
despite the fact that I don't spread it. A Fabergé omelette.
In order to make an omelette, you gotta break a few Fabergé eggs.
Fabergé eggs, yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're talking Fabergé eggs over the very disturbing scene. And why are people taking... Oh, he even calls it out there.
We need someone to
There are
go
people
with us.
taking
Are
pictures
there
of
any
us.
teachers around?
Yeah. No respect for the not dead.
Although, to be fair, like, I say that, but that happens in the real world as well.
Oh yeah, like I'll call it out in the real world as well.
Yeah, so
There is
do
no
I.
respect.
It's horrible when I see stuff like that happen. Like, they just pull out their phones and take videos of it, or take selfies of it. I'm just like,
You know what?
dude.
That is one thing that is really terrible. You know what's another thing? When I got out of the hospital after getting my finger stitched back up.
Yeah.
You know what the first thing I saw was
What's that?
outside? A drug deal.
Well then.
Like it was two guys just dealing drugs, and they just nonchalantly walked up and like, "Hey man, how you going?" Yeah.
Return to your class.
Shook hands, and I saw the exchange. I saw the packet in their hand. I saw the money in the other guy's hand,
Oh, God.
and like, and they saw me. They walked away, and then 20 meters away, there was a cop car, and I just told them like,
Oh, look, it's Fatty.
Your classrooms for the time being.
"Oh,
Fatty McTwatty.
Go home yet.
you're a mean one, Mr. Egg."
I am.
We're gonna call this character the Fabergé egg because he's shaped like
the Fabergé egg man.
the Fabergé egg,
I am
the man who
Fabergé egg.
started it all.
He dies.
Why did you say that?
Right. We ain't trying to get you busted.
The Fabergé egg
actually
will never
doesn't-
survive.
I'm trying to remember. I know something happens to him.
Called out by Mr. Kamashita.
I can't remember if he actually dies now.
Wait,
Something happens to him.
I was called a number of times too. The teacher's
Oh,
room.
and this is where the big reveal is that we all knew.
Someone when he was in a
That
bad mood.
Kamashida would beat people when he was in a bad mood.
The punishment thing was for real. Yesterday, he called Suzui out of the blue. She didn't make
And
any
because
I like how
Anne didn't go to see him when he called, he took out his frustrations on Shuzu,
He didn't.
hence why she jumped off the building.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah. I like how the cat's just loitering around the school now.
Yeah, it's Morgana.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind what just happened, and we confront Kamoshida at this point, and just the way he acts just cements his position as probably one of the biggest douchebags I've ever seen in games.
Yeah. I mean, he's already there. He's already at the top tier. Is he? I don't know what he's.
I don't think the rankings have been done yet for them.
No, we haven't done rankings. I reckon he'll be high up. Like he is a real special case. This one.
I
Ooh,
think he should be.
kicked over a chair.
I've done that before.
That chair crumbled like a Fabergé egg.
What did you say?
What did you say?
You ordered me to call Suzui here.
Yeah, this is.
I can only imagine what you did to her.
Yeah, this is them all sort of confronting him about it.
On and on about things you have no proof of.
But he raises a point there,
You're simply making these claims
Yeah.
because you
like the
can't
fact
be a
that
regular on the team,
he
right?
can write this off as just people making false stories because they don't get what
Yeah.
they want.
Exactly as you imagine it to be.
And this is the bit I hate the most.
What can you do? We just received a call from the hospital. Suzui's in a coma, and her chances of recovery are slim. How would someone like that make a statement? There's no chance of her getting better, I hear. Oh, the poor girl.
He literally knows that the person in question who could get him, who could be witness to it or be the victim,
Another case
is in a coma and probably won't recover, and he's using that as leverage.
I really wish he could be real for like 1 minute so that I could slap him.
Well, that's
You know?
the point. Like Ryuji wanted to punch him there, but if he had done,
Yeah.
Kamoshida would have just written it up as self-defense.
There's no need to hold back.
Yeah.
Why not attack me?
And you can't do anything either, because if you step out of line, you'll be sent to prison as part of your probation.
Yeah.
Everyone present.
Go into his heart.
Be it.
Do it.
I'm
Do it now!
board meeting.
Penetrate him like a Fabergé. I don't know.
What you literally said there, though, go into his heart, that is literally what you do.
Who would seriously
Yeah,
consider
I know.
what you said?
I know. Do it.
Threaten me too, Mishima. So you're just
Go into his heart like a knife. You know, just right on in there.
didn't know why I kept someone as talentless as you on the team.
Again,
You act like
they're
you
bearing in mind,
but you leaked his
Yeah.
criminal records, didn't you?
this is the other element.
All over the internet. correct?
Your criminal record was leaked to the rest of the school to ostracize, like, your character, and Kamoshida's the one
Yeah.
that told him to do it.
Hmm.
Now, are we finished here? You're all expelled. You're done for.
This is the
Futures are mine
this is
today.
where the time
Get
limit
out of my
comes
sight.
into play.
I can't believe
Well, at least for this part of it.
Yeah.
Because you're on the clock to get him to change himself and confess his crimes. But if you don't do it in time, then you'll be expelled.
Garbage like you were thinking, but go ahead and try. All you can do is wait for your disposal, though.
Is there only a certain time that you can enter his heart?
You can only do it once a day. I mean, you can do it any number of times, as long as there's enough days left. But you can only go into the palace once a day.
His distorted desires. Can I assume that you've made up your minds about this? About how he might suffer a mental shutdown?
I have. Someone
Yeah,
almost
and this
died.
is where they decide that they're prepared to risk killing him to get him to change.
Hmm.
Which, to be fair, I couldn't care less if he died.
Is getting rid of a palace hard?
Yeah, but by this point, he's just one of those people who has. He's got no concept on
Were you just pretending to know?
humanity.
Is it true?
Pardon me.
He has no concept of compassion. Everything's about him.
Mm.
I mean, you later find out that the reason he's this way is because when he got a medal in the Olympics, but he was never able to maintain that position. So he's been spending the rest of his life trying to maintain the glory days of being on the top. And it just sort of twisted into this idea of he wanted to be king again.
That was harsh.
We can't take her somewhere like that.
I hope that she doesn't torment herself.
You still there?
When it comes down to it,
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm watching this. I shouldn't be.
Hurry up.
I should be not watching this so that I can play it later and be surprised.
To be fair, this is the first 2 to 3 hours of the game. Like, this
Okay.
game is unbelievably long.
like phantom thieves. So I hope you're ready.
Huh? Phantom thieves?
Those who covertly sneak in and stylishly
I mean, one of the elements of this game is that the tutorial element of it continues throughout quite a lot of the game.
That sounds
Mm.
cool.
Like, it
Which-
brings new elements into it
Kamoshida's name and
quite a lot.
Is it like seamless kind of thing? Like they tie it into the stories that they tell.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
it all ties in. Like, generally it's
Yeah.
a case of this new element is now prevalent. We'll just give you a quick tutorial on it.
seems useful enough.
Like, it sprinkles the tutorials in like sprinkles.
Let's go.
Yeah, which is good. Like I like when tutorials are brought in as not like an obvious tutorial level. It's more just it's elements of gameplay that still further the story that makes sense, but don't feel like too far outside of the main game that it's annoying.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it does is, like, this part of the game, before you get to the first palace section, which is this bit here, it's all pretty linear, so you don't have much free control. I mean, you could say that this first palace that you deal with is, like, the game sort of hand-holding you through it, so you can understand how
Yeah.
the game plays.
What's going on? Hey, where are we?
That cat is mesmerised.
Yeah, that cat is just like, oh Jesus! Oh, there we go.
Perhaps she was dragged
Yeah.
in because of that app thing.
Morgana has a bit of a thing
If
for her,
multiple people can enter with the
Of course.
which raises a
Of
whole
course
slew of
Morgana does.
questions when he turns into a van and she gets in him.
No, that's not getting inside of him. She penetrates him. That's how you say getting into a car. I penetrated my car today, actually.
shadows are going to find
It was a pleasant experience.
I have to take my one to be serviced next week.
Ooh. Someone else has got to penetrate your car in order to service it, so,
They're gonna
hope your
penetrate
car
the
is
deeper than
wearing
I do.
protection.
Looks like we gotta force her. But how are we supposed to do that?
I've just looked at the bar at the bottom there. We're almost to the end of the video,
Oh yeah.
Almost.
which I'm sure the YouTube audience, if any of you are still here,
We'll explain after.
would
If you get this far, you will win a lovely gift. The gift of knowing that you've wasted an hour and a half of your life.
well, it depends if it depends if I keep this as one video or do what I did with Dakota's one and split it into two.
the tools you used.
Because it's an hour and a half long, and it's a bit longer than I'd like for a video. So I'm
Yeah.
going to split it into like two 45-minute parts. Especially considering that the hour-long video takes about like 3 hours to upload.
That girl's name is On Takamaki, right? Lady On.
It's still better than my hour videos that take like,
The shadows have
What?
noticed us.
I think the last hour-long video I ever uploaded took about 3 days to upload.
Jesus Christ. Australian internet for you.
Don't refer to it in such a
Yep, lovely Australian internet, and that was before it became even more shitty.
That reminds me actually, I checked out your channel a couple of days ago, I remember that that open letter that you did for YouTube. I actually watched the video that you did on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And what did you think of that?
I think you, because I mean we spoke about it before you actually did the video. I think you covered just about everything that needs to change about YouTube. I mean, I'll put your channel in the description of this video, so you YouTube people can go and watch that. And I would heavily advise that you do watch it, because it says a lot of the things that are wrong with YouTube at the moment that could easily be changed.
What do we do about this one's code name?
And the best part about that is that, you know, the ideas that are in there are just things that are suggestions. They're things that, you know, in case people are thinking that this is the ways that I'm set in for, like, these things have to be changed in this particular way. Of course, that's not the case. You know, as is the good element of any plan is that it should be flexible, and you know, it needs to be. We need to have a system with YouTube which is flexible, which is aware of what is wrong, where the management needs to be, and, you know, doesn't hurt the people who aren't doing anything wrong, which currently, of course, it is. You know,
Which is the main issue.
Yeah.
Like,
you first.
the video's basically ended. There it is.
Ah.
I just wanted to find a still image to just sort of leave it on for the.
Oh my
the end
god!
part.
Will, back again for the final.
Back for the end card.
Yes. Hello.
But yes, it's the point.
Anyway.
Like, the point that you make there is that there are a lot of elements with YouTube that do need changing, and whilst the points that you raise are not a hard and fast, like, rule to work to, it suggests things that would help improve things. As you say, it's a flexible idea. It's open to discussion and interpretation, but there's a lot of things on YouTube that need changing to drive creativity forwards again without stifling people for trying to be creative.
Yeah, and the main point in it is that in order for YouTube to get the kind of positive reinforcement it needs, like just getting the kind of content creation that it used to have before, you know, they cherry picked all the content creators they wanted there, is they need to be able to separate the responsibility of the individual from the responsibility of themselves, like, a little bit better. They don't moderate anywhere particularly well, so why don't just let us self-moderate a little bit?
Well, I mean, one of the big ones that came about was the Logan Paul scandal. Was it Logan Paul? Yeah, it was Logan Paul.
Yeah, it's probably either one of them. Something that they did.
They're both just as bad as each other.
Yeah.
But it was the scandal that came about where he videoed someone who, like, a corpse of someone who'd killed himself in a woodland in, I think it was Japan, that was well known for suicide.
Yeah.
And he spent a lot of the time when he was out there just absolutely slating the culture and the people out there. And, like, YouTube was quite loath to do anything about it for a time, because Logan Paul is one of their cash cows.
Yeah, well, I mean, even when the drama under PewDiePie, nothing was done about PewDiePie, but everyone else suffered for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, from YouTube's perspective, that's what's getting them the money. They don't want to mess with that. But by that token as well, they can't be seen to have one rule for one and one rule for everyone else, because otherwise it's not a fair system. And before anyone says life isn't fair, yes, I know it isn't fair. But when you've got a system in place that is supposed to treat everyone by the same rules, you can't then exempt certain people because they make money.
Yeah, well, that's why I said at one point in the video, all it takes for YouTube to start losing new content creators is for another website to pop up that is just slightly better.
It's interesting
like,
you
that's
say
all
that,
it takes.
because like YouTube streaming service is starting to suffer a little bit in line of things like Twitch and Mixer. Mixer especially,
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about. But also there are other channels out there, or other websites, that are trying to do the same thing that YouTube is doing, and they're starting to gain some traction. And it would be interesting to see, in like 10 years' time, if YouTube's practices come back to haunt them. Because the likes of me, who is a small-time creator, has about as much chance as making it as the next person. Whereas someone who has established a position for themselves and is growing, their growth is almost assured because YouTube will support them.
Their growth is assured, but just how long are they going to be able to continue this? I mean, that's the thing. You know, you might be able to find a few YouTubers who could keep doing this for another 10 years, another 20 years, do whatever the hell it is they're doing. But you're going to get to a point where people are going to get tired of them regardless. You're going to get to a point where they'll run out of ideas, where they simply just can't come up with good ideas. Or they just get tired and they want to quit. You know, there's people who are going to be like that.
I mean, I know some YouTubers who have gone that way, where they've just got so tired with the content that they've been hashing out. But one of the things I've heard from one of my friends who's a YouTuber is the content they want to put out never gets any views, so they don't end up putting it out. But the content that they don't want to do, but gets public appeal, is the stuff they end up doing. And so they get locked into this horrible cycle of just doing the things that people want, but not enjoying themselves. And the first rule of YouTube is to enjoy yourself. That's why I do these things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of the reasons why I'm happy to not be monetized, because then I'm not tied down by the thought of my income is dependent on the bullshit that I put out.
Yeah, well, I mean, YouTube is very, very, I don't know, dependent on that monetization, but it's more in a way of they don't want to stop the flow from happening. They want to keep it going on.
This image here is an exact representation of how YouTube looks at new content creators.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's like,
look,
this is
you're a new content creator. Well then, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to go back to my big money pile and all these people who make me that big money pile. Come back to me when you start making me money.
Yeah. Come back to me when you start making content that I can monetize, or that I feel like I can monetize and people are going to like. You know, that's the big issue, is that they are so wanting to have this content that they know will appeal not to people necessarily, not to the viewers, but will appeal to the sponsors, to the for ads.
Well, it's basically,
they want their ads.
If it's getting the views, it's getting the ads. If it's getting the ads, it's getting the money. That's what they're interested in.
Yeah, but they also don't want their they don't want the sponsors to get upset about what their ads are being shown on.
Yes.
And so that's why you need a rating system for that kind of thing, because movies do it.
Yeah.
Video games do it.
I think that's just the
why
most
can't
logical
YouTube
thing
do
to
it?
Is just have a system of what ads are appropriate for, like, say, more adult, like 12 and above. Like, I wouldn't expect to see things like My Little Pony showing up on content for, like, adults.
Yeah.
So they could
why
they could literally
YouTube
go, I don't want my ads to be associated with this because the demographic I want to go for won't be watching it. It's like, okay, then the 18 and above rating will get ads that is focused more on adults, and the people and like stuff that's more suitable for like kids can get more of the kids adverts. It makes sense from a lot of perspectives.
It makes sense, but it's a very like obvious move, but they're not doing it. Because they don't. I don't know. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the resources because it'll cost money.
That's all I can think of, is that it's got something to do with, to implement it will cost money, and businesses don't like to spend money.
because it means they'll have to reopen their whole like department.
Yeah.
But then again, they've got people who are dedicated to making this algorithm. Surely they can just kind of, swap over that to making this whole rating system thing.
You'd think so. I've just realised that for the last 10-20 minutes, this has been a podcast.
Yeah, essentially.
Well, I think we'll leave it at that. We could talk about this for years and still not get anywhere.
We'll do a proper podcast about this kind of thing. We'll have another discussion video. Maybe we'll invite other people on.
That would be an interesting idea. Because Azul brought up the idea of doing these behind the scenes with multiple people, which is something I've considered before, and it just sort of makes me think of just almost like a Tats podcast on some of these kind of things, where just some more team members are brought in and just various topics are discussed. That'd be an interesting thing.
Yeah, we just write up whatever topics we want to discuss. We'll try and get through them in an allotted amount of time, and yeah.
That's all good fun. Anyways, I can't believe people are still watching this. If you're still watching this, go home if you're not home, and if you are home, do something else.
Get a life, because Jesus, why are you still watching this?
Why are you watching me? Look, it's just a picture of a perverted teacher on the screen. Why are you watching this?
Yeah. What are you doing? Go make some food. You must be starving. You wouldn't be watching this otherwise.
It kind of looks like what would happen if Jimmy Hill was a teacher.
I can see it.
And with that bombshell, thank you guys for watching. I'm blackendrose, a chimpanzee in a suit, and I'm here with Clown Prince of Crime.
I thought you were Jeremy Clarkson with that. Well, not with that bombshell.
Well, Jeremy Clarkson could be considered a chimpanzee in a suit.
Oh, well, I thought he originated the idea. But anyway, and yes, hello. Oh, bye. My name is Clown Prince of Crime. Hello, all bye, and all bye.
And all bye. And don't forget, people, hold on to those Fabergé eggs.
Yeah, keep them close, keep them tight, and if you see Azul, throw them.
See you next time, folks.